record of that, and we'll let you know when we can share some. Get you close. Yeah. Yeah.
Sean Smith, just real quick. I think the fire department discussion is gonna be intense. You might, Bill, you might start off with just like prefacing it, what's going on. There's a lot of misinformation out there on Facebook right now.
Right.
So if you might clear some of that up before this thing starts, it might help move things along.
Sure, yeah, I'm happy to do that, and you're right, there was quite a bit of information put out on Facebook, some of it correct, some of it not so correct, so, the reason this discussion is even taking place is, so we have a fire department that is a mile away on the north side of the interstate. So the council was looking at, hey, is it feasible, is it possible for us to combine those two, or to basically have Rural District 1 serve the city of Chapman, using the same resources that we currently have. So we wouldn't be using, different personnel. We want to use the same list of volunteers, firefighters, and EMS that we currently have. And if they could do that, their fire budget went from $40,000 to $73,000, from 23 to 24. So it's a substantial increase. So the question was, can we provide the same level of service using the same people that we're currently using for less money? And I'm not saying for, $1,000, that's for a substantially reduced price. So that was the question, to look into that and see if it's feasible. So there's nobody talking about, hey, let's disband the fire department, let's reduce coverage in Chapman, we don't need EMS, and we don't need police department. None of that is what was taking place. So it was like, can we accomplish the same thing that we have now, the same level of coverage, using, again, our wonderful volunteers that we already have that are out servicing our community? Can we? And maybe we can't. And I'm sure we're gonna hear that today. But maybe the answer is no, that we can't do that. But if we could use those same resources and share resources with Rural District 1, so we'd have more equipment, more resources, same group of outstanding people, and pay substantially less than $73,000, is it possible? So that's what we're looking into. So I guess we can start it off after that.
It's just a question.
Yeah, is it a possibility? Right, yes, sir.
Okay, who wants to start? You got it, okay. Oh,
I'm Phyllis Cheney. I've been a member for 5-6 years of Chapman, Kansas. I'm now just a citizen. I have looked at this and thought about this because I know that some of the things, like they said, were not accurate, some were. But I have a son that is a lieutenant with the fire department in Kansas City, a full-time firefighter. I have served as an EMS personnel in Western Kansas for 20-some years. So I'm kind of looking at it from both perspectives, so to speak. I talked to my son about this, and I just think that we all need to keep an open mind and think about it. I don't think the city council or us needs to jump into any conclusions tonight necessarily about whether we're doing something or not. But I also want to kind of have you keep in mind as you go along, what is the cost of all the equipment, so forth and so on. As a full-time firefighter, my son said there's extreme expenses in keeping things up to par and up to code. And if those things aren't kept up to par and up to code, we're not only putting our firemen at jeopardy because we're sending them out in inappropriate or inadequate equipment, so we're putting them under, so to speak, somewhat danger in a way. But then there's also the perspective from an EMT perspective that I had as, if we do the narrowing down of some things, I think we definitely need to keep our department here. And I think we need to keep it here from the perspective of the city instead of the county, only because the county also involves numerous places around us. I think that oftentimes when you start dwindling it out into the county, the largest seat of the county gets the biggest benefit. I don't want that to happen. I want us to be represented. I want us to be taken care of. And when lives matter, and we're talking numerous lives, not just those individuals that are on the fire department, but numerous lives within the community when there's a major fire, a tornado, whatever happens to be the case, a shooting at the school, then I think that we need to be aware that, hey, time does matter. That's all I've got to say. That's good.
Anybody else?
I'm gonna give it a shot. My name is Mike Brown, I live at 436 West Fifth Street, I used to be the police chief, for 10.5 years, here in Chapman, and I have, 21.5 years in the Junction City Fire Department. And so I've got a lot of experience in what we're talking about here. And I don't have any problems with volunteer firemen, because I think they're wonderful to have to begin with, especially the group that we have working with us. Going through a tornado and seeing all the participation from this group is just fantastic. You got that relief. When I was police chief here, I had people that would come up to me and say, you know, I'm glad I moved to Chapman, because one of the reasons for Chapman is I feel safe and I feel secure here. And that's mainly because you have a good police department and you have a good fire department. And you also have good first responders. I'm a, you know, person that uses those an awful lot now that I've gotten older and I fall a lot. I depend on them. And I know a lot of people in this town that depend on them. And I'm not saying anything bad about District 1, but my concern with District 1 is the fact that they do have a lot of areas that they cover. And we wanna make sure that we have that protection in this community. You know, I mean, that's what our tax dollars are going for to begin with, is to make sure that we have that. I mean, we have it with the police department, I think they're doing a great job. And we don't wanna give that up. And if there's some way that we can go ahead and keep the department in the building back here and have them respond locally, and if they need to go with the county, at least keep somebody here that can respond to a house fire. Because if I guarantee you, if you've ever been in a house fire, you'll know how fast those things can go up and the life that can be lost in it. And this goes for heart attacks and everything else in the community. But what I would suggest you guys do, you can take it with a grain of salt, is table this for right now. Put out a survey in your community and see what your people think, what your taxpayers think about it. Because this is a small group. We have more people in town. And if you get the information from them, get the input from them, they'll let you know one way or another if they're going on the right track or not. And I'm sure these guys are gonna let you know if you're gonna go on the right track or not, so. That's my say.
Thank you.
Good evening, I'm Bryce Worth. You told my talk earlier today, so I'm not gonna necessarily talk about that. I was telling my wife, about the meeting tonight. She came home later. And, so this is basically like, kind of what her questions were. So I'm kind of speaking on her behalf, but I don't want to put words in her mouth here. But anyway, so like, from her understanding, it's one of those things where, you know, the city approved, you know, for the town to get new radios for our emergency services. And if you guys did choose to, you know, go with District 1, what would happen to the money that would go for those radios? I understand that PD would still get the radios and stuff like that, but her question was like, well, are we still gonna be paying 100%, or we're only using like 20%, or, you know, whatever the percentages are, but that was kind of like her thought process, if that makes sense.
And normally during public, comments, we don't have a whole lot of interaction back and forth, but, so the city council didn't approve nor disapprove, anything as far as the radios go. It was presented to us, but all we did was just take the information, and advocate for it, but it was actually approved through the county at the ballot box, so, when everybody went to vote, is they went and voted for it. So the city has no control over that money, the radios, they'll work with our our responders and the police department to make sure everybody gets a radio that they need, that the city had no part in. If
Okay.
that answers.
Well, I guess the part two of that, like, cause I know she's gonna ask, if, I'm assuming we would still pay taxes into that, right? In that whole system?
Yeah, the taxes is not gonna change, that's been set in the ballot box, it was approved, so that 4% tax, on anything you buy is going to.
That's a sales tax.
That was the county, had nothing to do
Like,
with it.
I feel like I'm not like communicating this right.
That's the county sales tax throughout the entire county.
Okay.
So anybody that comes through Dixon County is paying a, sales tax, quarter sales tax on that.
I think, I guess I was like under the understanding, she's already understanding that was like a city thing.
No.
Okay, my fault.
My name's Rosie, I live at 712 Hillside Drive, and my thing is, I don't wanna lose the fire department in town, especially if it's gonna affect the time that our fire people get to the home that's on fire or whatever the case may be. My parents years ago went through a fire, and thank God for volunteers for the fire department that got there so quickly and reacted quickly. They only lost part of their home. I can remember years ago, I was a preteen and a house had caught fire south of the railroad tracks, and we lost a little girl in that fire. They had the steel siding, and the volunteers did everything they could to save that little girl without success. I wanna know, as a citizen, that we will have that if we lose our in-town fire department. I want that security to know if my house catches fire, I'm gonna have the people there to do it, no doubt. I don't see how it's gonna be quicker going the other route, but I don't know enough about it either. I just know what I want, cause I've been through it with my parents, and I seen it as a child, and I don't wanna lose it. I've been here for over 50 years, and what we have works, or it seems like it does. So, let's all think about that when we decide what we're gonna do, and I agree. It's not just you guys that decide, it's the community that needs to decide. But I will also say, this Facebook thing gets way out of control. People seem to know more than they seem to know. Cause I'm hearing 20,000 for this, 30,000 for that, well, how did you know? I don't know. But my thing is, we have a voice, and we should be heard, but I always say, anybody that sees me on Facebook, cause I do use it, go to the meetings. If you want the facts, go to the meetings. I don't know how many people said, oh, I'm gonna be there, I'm gonna be there. I don't know if they're here or not, cause I don't really know a whole lot.
I'm here.
But, yeah, don't spew the hate, let's work with each other and get what we need done for this town and make it better. That's all I can say.
Can't stress that enough, the community that come to the meetings, 3 minutes, or if you want, like I said earlier, want more, you can have more. Anybody else?
Just real quick, if I could.
Yeah.
Yeah. My name's Denny Steinauer, and the only thing I say is I've been here 5 years, and so I'm kinda like a newbie, and I only know one firefighter, and that's a guy I drive school bus with, and that's Craig. But I was a volunteer firefighter in Pennsylvania for 14 years. And my first concern would be response time between a local or a district. I've never seen a district firehouse manned. So somebody has to go there, unlock it, open up the door, and respond. I've seen daily people down here at this station on a daily basis. And, so, you know, if you wanna look at statistic-wise, everything today is costing more. Price is going up. For a roll of toilet paper that nobody had 2 years ago, now you pay $8 for a pack. So, and I know equipment gets old, rubber oxygen mask, dry rot, everything, you know, you gotta upkeep all that. So in our town, they haven't, back where I came from, we have an LST tax for life support training, and it goes to the fire companies. It's just in our town, and started out at 1%, I think it's 4% now, so I know that things inflate. But I would support a local one. I know the house I live in, and some people that have just recently lost their house. I like, like Tammy was our bus driver, her house is, everything in that house is in the basement. But I'd like to know, who was the first ones there? Was it the local company or was it a district? I don't know. But I know in my house, it's 100 years old, and if it catches fire, I would rather have somebody that's only 3 blocks away responding than somebody that's a mile away. Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
I think the other thing the public needs to know is it was a way bigger discussion than $40,000 or $50,000. I mean, I think this all kind of really got started when we started hearing that we needed a new firehouse, a new fire truck, and we were talking about millions of dollars and how we were gonna be able to do that. So, just FYI.
Okay.
I do have a question, and I don't know if you can answer it or what, but I've seen this town almost a desert town downtown, and now we've got all these businesses. We put in and I don't know whose idea it was, but this has been a big stink too, the dog park. Don't know what it costs, don't care, but who decided we needed that? We don't even have apartment complexes here in town. And here's my thing, we still have a problem with dogs running loose. What are we doing about that? Are we cracking down? Are we throwing those fines on these people? And maybe you can up the fines on them, because I don't get it. I'm just
We
kinda
actually
lost
do
at
pick
that.
up every dog that we get reported or turned into. It goes to
Yeah, and I
Abilene.
know, I
Goes to the
understand
Abilene
that.
Animal Hospital. The people have to pay fees to pick it up and can be issued tickets for dog at large.
You know, it's a matter of getting, but yeah, I just don't, so I know a lot of the spew was, that's a good example. We spent all that money on a dog park that I don't know if it's even been used. Maybe it has, but
It's not ready yet, it's not open yet. so-
yeah, I don't know. I just don't see where it was a necessity. That's just my opinion.
Who's gonna clean it?
Who's gonna clean that? They don't clean up after themselves in the town.
So,
I mean,
interact with that.
There's this big
So-
German
but anyway,
Yeah,
that's
there
kinda
will
getting
be-
off track here.
Yeah, there will be an ordinance, so we can't even open the park until we get the ordinance that establishes the rules. The city attorney's not here tonight, I just discussed that, but, have an outline for him for that. So one of the rules, and the council has it up here, is people clean up after their own pets. I mean, that is, every dog park you go to, that's the rule for it, is you clean up that. Is everybody gonna follow that? Absolutely not.
Watch
there's
your
people that-
Facebook, the first ticket I write for that.
Yeah. So, the goal is to do the right thing, and pick up after their pets is what we want them to do. And I'll also add, since we're talking about the dog park, is the land where the dog park is located is the former city dump. There was absolutely nothing, you cannot build anything on that lot, so the city owns it. It could not be used for any other purpose. And so it was brought to the council that, hey, a purpose, and KDHE was very supportive of this, was, hey, one thing you can do with that is put in a dog park there. You already own the property, so you could put one in, but what you're paying for is fencing around some property to get people out, get them up there exercising, get their dogs up there, meet other people, and you can agree with it or disagree with it. I don't have a dog in the fight, literally, no pun intended. But that's how we came up with, or the council came up with a dog park at that location. And something that hasn't really been published is now the FFA is going to build an orchard, if they get it planted, an orchard around the dog park. So it's gonna be a nice area, they're gonna have some fruit trees and stuff like that up there, that kind of surrounds the dog park, but that's the goal, and we hope people do use it. I hope people go up there, and it's a chance for people to interact with each other and, let your dogs run around. It's not huge, some people commented it was,
Wasn't big enough.
yeah, it wasn't big enough,
I think it's
bigger
big enough
costs
for
more
this
money, right?
town.
So if you're gonna be paying for more children.
I do, Yeah, somebody was saying it wasn't big enough for 2 chihuahuas. Hello, I drove by like 2 days later and said, for our side of town, it's big enough, but I just don't see where we really needed that. That's my opinion.
May I clarify one thing that I said, please?
Okay.
I would just like to say that if I came across as being anti or against volunteers, I am not. I grew up in a small town that was strictly volunteers. I served a community that was strictly volunteers. I'm pro-volunteer, I'm absolutely supportive of that. I just want everybody to think about it. I've been that person on the other end that held a 1-year-old kid that died in my arms. I was at the side of a mother who lost a child. I have felt and been there with them as a volunteer. So I just wanted to make that clear that I'm not against any volunteer services.
Thank you. Anything else? Anybody else? Okay, sounds good. Okay,